All right, everybody. Well, welcome to Open Arts. How's everybody doing? So, anything fun, interesting happening going on? Today we're gonna do Maya animation. So this should be interesting because I had never animated this character. In fact, I rigged this character, and it's not the greatest rig, but it's an okay rig. And nice column. Nice, Sam. Very cool. So, I'm gonna do a bit of um, just kind of show and tell. You can ask any questions you'll have, or you might have. Let me share my screen here, and this is my snowman, and I've got a very, very um, rough set here. Let me make that reference that. Let's reference this. Call this the BG. Okay. So this is currently what the render is going to look like. And I'm just going to do a quick little walk or something. And it takes a decent amount of time to render it out. And let's see if I can wait for it here. I'm not doing it at a super high resolution because it takes like 6 minutes if I'm at a high HD. This is 720. But and I just literally in the last like couple of minutes put the snow back here. And so it's you can see it's kind of stretched out. So I'm gonna have to kind of redo that a little bit. But at 720, it takes about a minute a frame, a little over that. So that's it's not too bad. But let's kind of get started here. I'm going to take the sky away. And now I'm going to kind of go through the very basics of all of these different things. I'm going to turn off things that I don't need. So basically, this is generally how I'm going to work. Is I'm going to have most of the controls visible because I like to I like to set keys on all of the controls. Now, the basic idea, and we went over rigging a couple of weeks ago, is that if I were to turn on the joints here and show this, you can see that there are all these different controls that move. And in fact, this snowman has legs. He has a left foot and a right foot. And when I move that leg around, it moves the snowman foot accordingly. So he doesn't actually slide around. He's going to actually walk with his legs. So also I've got an IK hand here that'll move around. Now this is a little bit different in terms of a rig because there's not a lot of symmetry in this snowman. You can see just about, except for the face, the head's pretty symmetrical, but just about everything is asymmetrical. And but these joints are are the controls, and then all the skin, which I can't grab just yet. All the skin is attached to all of these joints, and it is going to deform. Now, I have not really gone through and done some high-level deformations yet, which is a whole other thing. So it's not going to have the best look. It's going to feel a little bit goopy. But for our purposes today, it should be just fine. Now, the way that my animation or CG animation generally works is all of these controls, I have the ability to set keys on any of these different channels. Translate is moving around. Rotate is obviously rotating in these three different axes. So this would be X, this would be Z, and this would be Y. And then I can also scale, although sometimes scale gives you unexpected results, and sometimes they'll turn that kind of stuff off. Is there also W? There's no W in Maya, but your W or your fourth is your time, and I am moving in time. So W and blender. Okay, well, I don't even really understand what W would be, but this, I can set a key on just about anything, on any frame. And when I do, and go to a different frame and move that, then the computer is going to move and fill in the in-betweens. Now, the computer is a wonderful assistant, but it is terribly unintuitive when it comes to interpreting movement and motion, especially caricatured motion, which we would get with a cartoon or a piece of animation. So, all right. So I was just going to do a walk today, just kind of maybe even a walk cycle, probably walk forward in space a little bit. And so there's all sorts of different controls, and the different control is I'll kind of go through a tour very quickly of what those controls can do. This round control is what at Sony we would call the master control, and in this case the master control moves everything. Now, if I wanted to scale, this would be a global scale. And that's really what this control is for. It is to globally set the character in a position and leave it there. Now, you'll also notice that there's some space in between all of these different things. Now, the reason is because when I'm going to render this out, it is going to add additional geometry that gives you that snow look. And as such, I've shrunk these different things a little bit. Now, this is kind of how he works with Stuart Little. In a high-level rig, they would probably export out that bigger geometry and make it kind of work inside this rig. There'd be multiple things going on. Again, I'm going to keep this pretty simple. But basically, when I render any one of these objects, it is going to make it bigger and give it more geometry. It's going to use different pictures and use that black and white in the picture to know how to build that geometry. And that's how we get that sort of, it's called displacement, and that's how we get the nice, more subtle snow texture. But when that happens, it is going to make the entire head just a little bit bigger. Okay. Now, each of these little colored lines represents a control or a joint that I can use to animate this character. And believe it or not, this is actually a pretty simple character in regards to a studio rig. That this is pretty easy to use, pretty simple in terms of the different controls. So I started with the master control here, and this is a master offset. It's just kind of nice to have a little bit extra control I can do and offset this. This is my left foot, and you'll see that all of my left limbs or my left face are all in blue. And I can move this around and pick it up, and it will stay in position. Right foot. I've got my spine controls. All of these will allow me to twist or turn. Now, I can move these, although I don't necessarily need to do that too much. Because of my spine, it is generally a rotation. And this goes all the way up into my neck and then into my head. The head of the character, again, you can see it sort of hasn't really truly been given the kind of treatment it needs, which would keep it from collapsing on itself or doing what we call a candy wrapper. And I'll be doing that in the future. So now, then I've got little controls on, say, the hat. I can turn the hat off so that it will not pay attention to the head, or I can turn it on so that wherever the head goes, the hat goes too. And so that I generally like with different pieces that are going to, potentially be taken off here. I don't know did I put that? Yeah, I put it on the nose too. So if I want to have the nose or any of the pieces fall off of the head, I'll be able to have that. I'll be able to have that and animate those kind of falling off for different gags or different things like that. Then we get into the scarf. Generally speaking, the scarf is going to move most of the time right along with the body, the neck, etc. But if I want to reposition some of these, I can resculpt that a little bit by some of these extras. These are mainly just to kind of pull. If I do begin animating and it starts to what we call interpenetrate inside of the inside of the snow, then those will be allow me to sort of just pull it out a little bit so that it will render nicely. And I really only have to do that from the camera view. And it's a little bit different in video games, but in features, if it's interpenetrating behind the camera, then it doesn't really matter. These are just for my little scarf pieces there, and then I can get into the shoulder. And I do believe all the pieces, like I can turn that piece off so that it will just fall to the ground. But this, it can move around. Here I've got my hand, all of the different finger positions, and then of course the buttons. So that's basically my my rig here. And so now let's take it for a spin. As I said, I've really not done any animation with this rig. It's still pretty new, but when I work in animation, I'm generally going to tell you what, this is where it's kind of nice to be able to move this around a bit and kind of set him in a position. Let me set up a new camera here. And this camera, I'll go ahead and name Cam Main. Cam Main, I'm going to kind of frame here so that I can get a sense of this movement. This will be kind of, walking out, basically, what it'll be looking like. Okay, so I'm just kind of getting a sense of how this character is going to exit frame, what it's going to look like. And once I get this in a basic position that I like, I'm going to go in, grab this camera right here, which I can always select that camera. We go over here and hit right click and go to lock selected. This is going to gray all of these out. And this gray is going to allow me to kind of click on the camera, but I'm not going to be able to move it. And so if I have my little setup here like I usually like it, which is on Cam Main over here. Turn off shadows. This will go weird. And turn on the light here. So now I can move things around in my perspective window, but I don't need to, I can sort of see what it's going to look like from the camera position. Okay. And the other thing I'll probably do is just drop this down well, I'll do that at the end. I want to see my different feet on the ground here. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is begin to pose in a stride pose or a stride position. And let's see, parent. Okay. And kind of like this. So I'm going to kind of move my body forward. And the stride position becomes the position where my feet are the furthest apart. Now this gets a little bit tricky to kind of do when you can't really see the leg. So at times I'm going to turn those joints on just to be able to see what the legs are doing. Now, okay. And let's see, just checking in the chat box, see if I've missed anything. Any questions about anything so far? And hold on. Okay. Do I like Maya? I do. Yeah, I wasn't really sure I would when I first started um, messing around in it because it to me it was a bit threatening that I wasn't going to be able to animate because we were losing kind of hand-drawn animation, which we did, which was a bit of a bummer. But I started to realize I'm actually um, pretty good in the computer in terms of animating. I feel like I'm a bit more of I'm a bit better of a Maya animator than I am a hand-drawn animator. Um, and uh, as I spent more and more time in Maya, I realized there was a lot of things I could do that I never really could do before in um, in hand drawn. And so for that, I was it was kind of like it was kind of exciting to mess around with it. Now, somebody asked, "Is Maya hard?" So animation in general is pretty hard, and Maya is no exception. Some people really love. Um, oh, I don't have a twist on that arm yet. Okay, so I'm gonna have to make some notes here of different things I need to change or need to add. Okay. Uh, and so, but some people love working in a computer, and other people really would much prefer to just draw. I actually like both, and um, and so it has been there are a lot of challenging things about Maya, but I've honestly it took me a few years to get used to Maya, but once I did, I really did start to like it. And I get defensive of it too, because you could everybody, once they like theirs, like I have a lot of students in Blender who just love Blender, and I would never really do much in Blender simply because I it would take me forever to learn everything again, and I don't really want to. Um, and Deborah, do I use a mouse or a stylus when animating Maya? Good question. I actually use both. I've got a stylus that is a 3D stylus. It's meant for working in a 3D program. Um, and it's separate than my drawing stylus. They're not that much different. But I really do, once I get used to it, I really do like working with a stylus simply because it is it's a lot uh, less constrictive. I use my whole hand, my whole arm, and I get a much more interesting. I just think uh, not interesting, but it's just easier to move your hand around once you get used to it. But it does take some getting used to. Okay, so not the greatest stride pose in the world. Um, see if I can keep messing with this a little bit. And see what this looks like. Now it's interesting because from this angle, this isn't going to look the best, I don't think, but it will be. It will be fun to start to see it come together. This is the one thing about the stylus. Now there we go. That's what I'm looking for. They changed the stylus a bit. So this is why I like to have my camera position open at the same time, because I can see what the pose is looking like from all three dimensions in the viewport, in my perspective viewport. But it's really important to know what that is going to look like in the camera view, and so that camera view, it's not that it trumps everything, because sometimes if you really mess something up and kind of make it funky looking in the camera view, then you have to go back and fix it in the perspective view. But many times it is uh, nice to just have the really keep the camera view as your priority. Okay, so you can see I tend to touch every control on every pose, even if it's just a little bit. The last thing I want to do is have a character feel like it is the default, or it's stuck in the default kind of T pose or default position. It doesn't take that much longer to kind of go in and just do a little bit of customization. Um, and okay. And Deborah, use both the mouse and the stylus for 3D. Okay. What brand do I use for Maya? Is it Wacom? I do. I generally use my or Wacom products with tablets, or my even my monitors and different things. I find they last a long, long time, and that's really nice because they are pricey, but it's kind of worth it. And in a world where I will replace my computer almost every 2 years, it is really nice to be able to just keep this for probably 6-7 years. And so, all right, now as a reminder to the class, if you want to, I'll keep looking back for questions and whatnot. But if you do have a question and you put it in brown, then that is usually going to get the quickest response, because I'll see that brown. Brown is the color of questions. And so let's see. I'm going to do a little bit more relaxed walk. Let's try here. Okay. So I've got my first key. And now I'm going to do my second stride pose, which is basically to put this in terms of the rotation. It's got to be 0. Now you can see that with the feet, it gets a little bit, it's a little bit different with the snowman. And we're going to start to see some of the ugly parts of the rigging here, of the skin. And you can always type in 0 as the default, kind of take you back. And I remember when Angry Birds was part of our level 3 story breakdown routine. Um, yeah, it's an interesting one to break down because it's not one that people generally consider much of anything other than just kind of goofiness. Um, let's see, let's look at- and okay, it's working okay. Let's see, used to this. This around here. Which movies do we currently watch in level 3? So let's see. A lot of the standard. I mean, we still do the Princess Bride. We are doing Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, which I think is a good one. We do Over the Moon, um, Coco, Moana, um, Disney's Tarzan, and so we do Klaus, which is great 2D movie on Netflix. Now, I don't need to watch them over and over again. And generally speaking, when I pick one of these movies, I do it for a specific purpose. Boy, I really wish I had that twist in there. It's going to create some issues. Um, so I don't really get tired of them because I'm like with Coco and Moana. We talk about those because those are um, basically the same movie, but they have they have the opposite theme. Um, no, I haven't heard about Coco 2, but it doesn't surprise me at this point. Um, Princess Bride, I think, is there's so many great things you can learn about filmmaking, about storytelling from the Princess Bride. So that's one we do very much at the beginning, so that we can give a real sense of. Oops, well, that's strange. Why did I do that? Um, I did my arms backwards. Sometimes I'll still do that. I got my arms messed up here. Hold on. So let's take this and put it up here. Let's take this and put it back here. There we go. I have to redo this a bit. And this forward. Um, oh, nice. Hold on. 2029. Okay. Caught up, I think. And okay. So that same thing. Here we go. Oh, that's the problem, is that this was actually in the right spot. Not there. Boy, I'm getting everything sort of backwards here. Okay, so that's good. That's good. Now, this is good. And this just needs to change. So it is an interesting experience to talk and animate at the same time, about what you're doing. Wow, I keep doing the same mistake here. Okay, this needs to come back here. There we go. It just goes to show that animation really is a difficult thing to do. You really do need to concentrate. Okay. How long does it usually take to make a few second film in Maya? So a film, like if you're making a film and you want to do a a beginning, middle, and end, and a story, storyboarding, all of those different aspects, like it's going to take a little bit longer than just doing if I was just going to do a quick animation. But I think that's what you're asking, as I'm working here, doing a quick little a quick little animation. It can take a long time. I find that the hardest parts are these first poses. And I'm going to try to get through as much as I can. But getting those first poses right can make a real big difference. And you can start to see it coming together here. So by getting the poses right, then you start to see how the animation begins to take shape. Now, for the sake of time here, I'm going to just do this one step because I don't think I'm going to get much more than that done. So start off here. And get this kind of compressed a little bit. But to answer your question, if I was going to do working in the studios, doing about 5 seconds a week was a decent. You were actually, going decently fast. So to do a piece of animation um, in an hour or two, that was at a feature level that was generally not a possibility. Now it depended on obviously what it was. Um, we, but you can see here. So in my mind, it works very much like virtual stop motion, except that you have so much more editability in Maya because I can't really move in a pose to pose fashion in stop motion. Now, maybe some people can, but and I've never really done stop motion, but it is a more difficult thing to do. I would say that. Um, and in Maya, it's how it's built. On top of which, I don't have to do the face right now, and I don't have to do the scarf right now. I can just do um, a basic sort of hands and feet pass, and that will be I can get that working how I want, get the body working how I want, and then I can go back and put in the scarf, all of the extra different pieces. If I want to make any adjustments, I can do that. So there's real control in the computer that you don't really have the same way in stop motion. And some people, this is what gets them. I see a lot of student work where the fingers are just really not touched all that much. And in order to get those, the real sort of sense of reality, you want to break those finger positions up. And so I can scale this out here. See that I can make that a little bit longer if I want. Let's see, brown here. Workflow is typically adding small adjustments to pretty much every frame after the main animation is done. Do you think that's a decent way to go? So everybody's is a bit different, Colm. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I tend to, when I get into the details, I will go in on a frame by frame basis. That's so I don't think there's anything wrong with that approach. I know other people that they will never do that. That they only will work on a kind of keyframe approach. They always have the splines on. I generally have the splines on while I'm working, but then when I start to look at the work, I'll start to look at it in steps, like it was a rough pose test. So, but you can see, and I'm just keeping the splines on here, that you can start to see the movement that's starting to be created. But I generally try to, like I said, I will start to evaluate it by putting it in stepped mode so that I really can only see the actual poses. This doesn't feel like it's going far enough forward, although it is going a decent amount forward. So I'm constantly going back and forth, reevaluating, and this I feel like I'm going really fast, which is I'll always be kind of going back into poses, sort of seeing, okay, how's this playing from this angle? And now I'm just going to keep going through. If I would usually go through and do all my poses first, but then I just go to tangents here, and I use these buttons right here. So I've created these two buttons. They're really simple commands. You can see that command says time control E snap false, and this one says time control E snap true. It doesn't show that, but when I hit this button, now I can go to subframes. And so what this allows me to do is to really find, well, where is the place that I want to lock in between these two in-betweens. And I can really get a lot more exact with that. Then I just go back up, hit snap true, and now when I copy and paste it to the next frame, now I can put that on a beginning position. And this allows me to have a much better actually want that to be looks down. Oh, it's not. Oh, that messed things up. So that's don't scale the body. Another note. Let me save this here and save this as version 2. So this brings up a good point of versioning up. If I make a mistake and I've got a new version, I can always go back to the old version. Yeah, these are, that's not how it's supposed to look. But for some reason, these did not work well. And that's a bummer. That's a little bug. This is one of the reasons that in the studios, we will do what is test animation, because we want to get this sense of the, what you can do, what you should do, what you really can't do with the controls. And what's working and what's not. Yeah, let's have a little more overlap here. And we're running out of time, but getting a few more things kind of worked out. And the chat box has lost its mind. And which is a normal part of the process here in the last few minutes. Any other questions coming back to Maya and away from clocks and dentists and doom? But anything I can answer. So I generally am going to in between all the way down to at least twos. And so how long have I been using Maya? I have been using Maya. I think I first started learning it in 2001. Yeah. And so, yeah, that's been, gosh, 24 years. Okay, so let's be done with the Clock of Doom and Frog Lords and Dentists of Doom, and use the last few minutes of the class or of the session here. Any further comments? Yeah, in fact, when I started using Maya, it was probably maybe 10, 15 years old. So Clock of Doom, Timmy, I do mean you too. So let's make sure. And okay. Let's see what I can do here. Yeah, when I started using Maya, they had already, I think, done some movies like Dinosaur, and Disney Dinosaur, I think Stuart Little movie, the first Stuart Little movie, some other different movies. So, um, and I think there was another question up here. First Veggie Tales was made with Maya. Okay. Yeah, and originally Maya was conceived and created as a car design, kind of a modeling car design um, program, and then it started to move into animation. Okay, so you can see here I'm kind of working onto twos, and this is usually about what I'm working on. I try to just give a little bit of extra to it. Can you do cloth, hair physics, and Maya? Yep, you can do it all. Um, and uh, and so pretty much anything rendering, anything that you would want to do in 3D animation or rendering, you can do. That doesn't mean it's the best place to do it, but there are, it's a very powerful program. It could do a lot of different things. So, is it easy to learn how to use Maya, Emma? So, for different people, it's easier than others. Some people love to sit around and press all those buttons. I've been, as I said, working with this since 2001. I don't know what all the buttons do. I know animation really pretty well, and I know some rigging and some modeling and a little bit of rendering, but I don't know really much else besides animation. And you could see, I've got a little bit of a step here, and I could, continue on to the next step and begin the animation this way. So now we are out of time, but it has been great to have everybody here. Thanks for coming. Can I render this out by next open art? Maybe. I will try. And if you are interested in learning more, you can go to our website at theanimacourse.com, or you can just search for the animation course. Have a great day, everybody. Bye, everyone.